Alright guys, so today we're reviewing section 5.3, which is just all multi-step inequalities, and like I did the other day, I'm going to use this review video just to go over some hand-picked problems from yesterday's homework. You already have the answers, so hopefully you've looked at that and seen how you did. And I chose a variety of problems here, all of varying difficulty for us to practice with. Keep in mind I have another worksheet that's optional if you'd like even more practice before you take today's quiz. And then that's it. We'll call it a week after that. So here we go. I'm just going to jump in with the explanations. I've chosen first numbers 3 and 7. So for number 3, negative 2b plus 4 is greater than negative 6. We start this by subtracting 4. Subtract 4 from both sides. I'm left with negative 2b is greater than negative 10. And then I'm dividing both sides by negative 2. And because I'm dividing by a negative, I get b is less than 5. Okay, one down. Here we go. Number 7. Similar problem. I'm starting it by subtracting. Subtracting 7 from both sides. I get negative t over 5 is greater than negative 11. And then to get t by itself here, to just get t, I need to multiply both sides by negative 5. Cancel out the 5 in the denominator, as well as canceling out the negative. And then I multiply this side by negative 5. And then, as we've seen, because I'm multiplying by a negative number here, I have to flip this around, and we get t is less than 55. Okay, those are the first two. Here's the next pair. Negative 2/3 f plus 3 is less than negative 9. So I'm going to jump into this one by subtracting 3 from both sides. And remember, if I'm going too fast for you here, feel free to pause and rewind me. I'm going to get negative 2/3 f is less than negative 12. And then remember, we have a fractional coefficient here. So in order to get rid of a fraction in front of a variable, we always multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of negative 2/3 is negative 3/2. Make sure it's negative. And when I do this, I am going to get f is greater. Reverse that inequality sign, multiplied by a negative here. And that's going to give me positive 18. Okay, now, number 11 I like because you'll see we have variables on both sides. Nothing to simplify on either side, no like terms to combine. So right away, we're going to want to get the variable on one side. And I'm going to do that by adding 2k to both sides. That's going to give me 6k plus 15 is greater than 3. And now from here, I need to subtract 15 from both sides. So I'm going to get 6k is greater, still greater, than negative 12. 3 minus 15 is negative 12. To solve, I divide by 6 on both sides. And remember, even though we're ending up with a negative answer, guys, we do not reverse the inequality sign because nowhere in here did I divide or multiply by a negative value. So I'm just going to get k is greater than negative 2. This sign never changed. It always stayed greater than. I did subtract 15, and yes, 3 minus 15 is negative 12, but this wasn't dividing or multiplying. It's a special rule with inequalities. So make sure you remember that for today's quiz. Okay. 2 more examples, and I'll look at a couple of the word problems with you. These both involve distributive property. So hopefully remember how to do that. I need to distribute on the left side of the inequality here as well as the right. And I'll start by doing that. That's going to give me negative 6w minus 6 is less than 2w plus 10. So hopefully you got that right. We're essentially multiplying this here and this here. Then I'm going to go ahead and get the variable on one side. This time I'm just going to subtract 2w. I want to get my variable on the left. I think you guys have an easier time solving when the variable's on the left anyway. So I do that. I'm going to get negative 8w minus 6 is less than 10. Okay, so now it's just a two-step problem here. I still need to get w by itself. I'm going to do that now by adding 6 to both sides. So if I scroll down a little bit here, I'm now going to have negative 8w is less than 16. But remember, this is going to be an example where we will flip the inequality sign, because in order to solve for W, I have to divide both sides by -8. So I get W is greater than -2. Now over here, this problem looks trickier than it is. You're going to see when we combine like terms, some of this is going to disappear. I start by distributing my 2, right? Distribute the 2 here. So that's going to give us 2q minus 6 plus 6 is less than or equal to -10. Now hopefully you didn't go moving this 6 over here to this side, because look what's going to happen. I have 2q minus 6 plus 6. Well, look at right here. The -6 and +6 are going to combine. They're going to cancel each other out. -6 plus 6 is 0. So this whole thing just simplifies to 0. And I'm going to be left with 2q. So this really just becomes a one-step problem, if you can see that. Now, for sake of argument, you could have subtracted 6 and then added 6, and you're going to get to the same answer, but that would be more work. So 2q is less than or equal to -10. I divide both sides by +2, and we get q is less than or equal to -5. Okay, just 2 more examples left to go. I chose numbers 16 and 20 because they were both a little bit more complicated in my opinion. The first one says the sum of a number and 14 is less than or equal to 3 times the number. I'm going to underline the part where it says is less than or equal to, because that right there, the part that I underlined, is my inequality sign. So now you can sort of see both sides of this. So I'm only looking on the left, I'm just looking at the sum of a number and 14. Well, that's pretty easy to write, right? That's just going to be n plus 14. Now let's write our inequality sign. Is less than or equal to. Is less than or equal to. And now let's look at what's on the right. 3 times the number. So I'm going to just put 3n. And now from here, I'm going to get my variable on one side. So I'm going to get 14 is less than or equal to 2n. 3n minus 1n is 2n. And then we divide both sides by 2, and I'm going to get n is greater than or equal to 7. You will need to reverse this, though. Don't write that as your answer. Spin this whole thing around. Instead of saying 7 is less than or equal to n, we'll say that n is greater than or equal to 7. Okay, last problem. Here we go. 4 times the sum of a number and 2 increased by 3 is at least 27. So this one's a little tougher. Is at least is our inequality sign. So let's identify where the inequality sign is and then look at what we have to write. Now, I'm looking at 4 times, but hold on here. It's not just 4 times a number or 4 times 2. It's 4 times the sum. So we have the sum. In other words, in parentheses, we have the sum of a number and 2. And it's 4 times that sum. So it's 4 times the sum of n plus 2. And then, still more here, that whole thing gets increased by 3. So outside the parentheses, I wrote plus 3. You can see why this is sort of a tough problem. Looking at my inequality sign, is at least. So is at least greater than or equal to is at least 27. That's easy. That's pretty easy, right? Just write 27. Okay, so now a little work still to do. Let's start by distributing that 4. I distribute the 4, and I'm going to get 4n plus 8. So I did 4 times n and 4 times 2. And then just bring down your positive 3. We'll simplify that in just a second. And now, if I keep working here, I'm not going to worry about this yet. I'm going to keep simplifying, because I can put positive 8 and positive 3 together. So this whole left side of the inequality becomes 4n plus 11. And then is greater than or equal to 27. And now from here, I don't think you're going to have much trouble, because this is just a 2-step problem. So I subtract 11 from both sides. Do that here. Do that here. I'm going to get 4n is greater than or equal to 16, And this one you can probably solve mentally. We just divide both sides by 4. No need to flip the sign. We get n is greater than or equal to 4. Okay, guys. Good luck finishing the week. Good luck on today's quiz. We are just 2 lessons away from the end of the year. Can you believe that? So I'll touch base with you on Monday. It's a very short week. We're just going to have lessons on Monday and Tuesday. And then you're going to have a whole week after that to finish up work, finish up quizzes, finish up worksheets, everything. And I'm going to help you with just finishing out the end of the year so we can make sure that everything is done. Great job. I'm excited that we've made it this far, and good luck on today's quiz. I'll talk to you later.